Please be aware that this episode of The End Game contains music played in reverse as an example of how backmasking is used in the media to influence young people and all of us. This is a warning that backmasking features in this show. If you do not wish to hear this, please skip to 37 minutes into the show. From this point on, there is no further backmasking.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're so glad to see so many of you lovely people here tonight. We would especially like to welcome all the representatives.
GCHQ, Cheltenham.
Who have chosen to join us here in the Palace Hotel Ballroom at this time. We certainly hope you all enjoy the show. And remember, people, that no matter who you are and what you do to live, thrive, and survive, there's still some things that make us all the same. You, me, them, everybody. Everybody. Everybody needs somebody.
A very good evening and welcome to tonight's End Game. This is Alan Taylor-Shearer bringing you news, views and reviews. 27th of March 2014. Hope you're well, and my apologies sincerely for not being with you on Monday evening. Just gone. Couldn't be helped, I was away on assignment. More about that later or at another time. Right, we're going to be listening to some music this evening, but maybe not in the way you might have expected it. As well as looking at the news and everything else. A very good evening to everybody that's chosen to join us in the chat room tonight. It's always great to know you're there. I'm also going to be talking about a little event that's coming up in April, and it's something really to look forward to. It really is going to be good. It's going to be international, and it's going to be associated with a very good friend of mine who does an amazing amount of work. You have no idea. He keeps me on the digital straight and narrow, and hopefully is able to help one or two others out. So everybody on awakeradio.co.uk and .us, shaziz.com and 1800 Online Network, that's 1800online.weebly.com. 3 networks that I'm aware of who carry this and other shows and just about everything that goes out on Awake. The dedicated presenters, guests, listeners, producers, Paula, sweet Paula, thank you very much for all your assistance, and Steve, of course. Good evening, Rick and Annie. Oh my word, you have blown my minds. My minds? Both of them, yes, the left and the right hemisphere. You've blown them completely with your recent shows, and wow, I've got to say the interview that you did recently. I was absolutely stunned. I was, in fact, I was dry. I've been with Neil, and we've been on this job that sort of took us away Monday and Tuesday, and I had to pull the car over. I had to stop the car on the way back. I mean, it was late anyway, but I felt it right that I stop and just really focus and listen to the interview that Rick and Annie did with Judith Very Baker. Now, I spoke to somebody earlier on this evening who we will be hearing from, Mark Taylor from the Garbage Pod and Spamhead Productions, and we had a chat about Judith Very Baker, and what an amazing woman. Absolutely. Well, that program has been repeated. Oh, if you don't know who she is, by the way, she was the girl who spent her time with Lee Harvey Oswald. But she was an amazing girl before that, and incredible since. But Rick and Annie did this amazing interview, and I'm going to be filing that and sharing that on 1800 Online Network, which is going to be carrying shows in conjunction with, alongside, and for the benefit of Awake Radio, Shaziz, and everybody else. Because networks coming together, people coming together, working together, all towards the same goal. It's the way it's got to be, my friends. I might not have the religious convictions, the Christian faith convictions of Annie and Rick. I'm no stranger to them, but I may not have those current convictions. But I tell you, powerful, powerful presenters. And these are the people that we have to come together with. And, as well as, well, everybody. I mean, I'm singing the praises of everybody here. Neil Foster was on with me 2 hours on Monday, and he's just done another 2 hours bringing real news, amazing stuff about how NHS hospitals had been using aborted human fetuses to go into their furnaces to create heat. I mean, that is just vile. The last time we heard about human bodies being used in ovens was, well, it was back in the 40s. Let's not go there. But for God's sake, 2014, and they're still taking children, humans, they're still taking human children and putting their dead bodies into furnaces and burning them. I mean, for God's sake. Excuse my French, but bloody hell. I mean, I have no words other than that, other than expletives, and I am not going to sink that low. I've done it before, and I regretted it afterwards, but at the time it felt right, but no. I mean, the fact that this has come out in the prostitute media, and the fact that Neil reported on that, so I tell you, I would be raging, and I know Neil is, but I would be absolutely raging if I was going to carry that story this evening. But I promised Mark that I would talk about his upcoming project. And I've also tantalized you a little bit by saying we're going to be playing some music. And we're going to be playing it in a really kind of odd way. And this was prompted by something I was listening to on Awake about how the media and how the music business, the business, the industry, because that's all it is to these people. It's, well, I've just got to make money, and this is how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to totally destroy lives, and but not in all cases, because if there's one thing I do like to do, I like to try and bring balance, because people in this movement, myself included, and I'm sure you can look into your own life as well, and maybe see times when you've done this, is you look for the conspiracy, you look for the evil in everything. And sometimes, you know, a good song is just a good song. There is no hidden meaning. There is no hidden message. There is nothing in the architecture, in the image, in the song, in the poem, in the t-shirt. There is nothing sinister. We know that there is in a lot of tracks, which we're going to look at this evening, and we're going to look at something specifically called backmasking. And this is something that's been going on from the 60s. Number 9. That was the Beatles, and we'll be hearing more from that later in a bit. But there's been loads and loads of cases where it's been proven that these things are there. So it happens, and the subliminal images where you just flash an image on a screen for a nanosecond, for a fraction of a second, and you don't consciously register it, but then all of a sudden you get thirsty because that image of a bottle of Coke or something was projected on the screen for a fraction of a second, Your subconscious mind has registered it, has taken it and gone, yes, I think I'm thirsty. I've got to get a cool, refreshing Coke. But your conscious body is saying, what a great film. It's everywhere. We are bombarded by this stuff constantly. All day, every day. And as Neil was saying earlier, with the Wi-Fi and the food and the aluminium in the air, the aluminium in the soil, the GMOs, you've got to be an absolute superhero to combat this stuff. And we are superheroes because we do know what's right and what's wrong. We do have that consciousness. We do have that power inside us which says, no, that's wrong. Don't do that. Don't go there. Don't listen to that. Have your own opinion. Have your own thoughts. Have your own ideas. The stuff I'm going to be talking to you about and playing and sharing with you this evening is my own opinion. You might disagree, you may agree, you may violently disagree. You may decide that everything I'm saying is a complete load of tosh. If you do, I respect you for that. However, I just want you to listen, and I want you to go away and make up your own mind. So, let's have a look at some of this stuff which we and our young people especially are surrounded by, are bombarded with. I have 3 sons, 15, 19 and 22. Odd names for kids, I realise that, but the eldest has really matured recently. He's now, his music scope and his entertainment scope is so wide now. And I think that a lot that's influenced from the girlfriend, But even the youngest, Connor, he is so mature in everything because he has been allowed to make his own decisions. He's been allowed to make up his own mind about a lot of stuff. He's the guy, that when I said, why don't you go and research the Titanic? After 2-3 days of research, his own research, not guided by me, not influenced by me, not influenced by anybody else, but he came back and of his own accord said, it wasn't the Titanic that sank, Dad, it was the Olympic. And then went on to produce the proof and the evidence that he'd researched himself. And that's at 15. And they are, and I know I'm going to be singing their praises because I'm their dad and everything. But for goodness sake, if these kids can do it, then all of them can do it. They just need to be given the information to then run with. They just need the information to go with and make up their own minds and be allowed to make up their own time and their own decisions. But, when they're influenced by this kind of stuff that I'm going to play for you now, you've got to be amazed. This is your warning of backmasking, used as an item to illustrate how we are influenced by the media in evil ways. If you do not wish to hear this content, please skip to 37 minutes into the show. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play some of this through, and then I want you to just listen, because I didn't hear a lot of this until I saw the words on the screen, and it helps me make a point about how our subconscious and conscious minds work. So what do you hear? Now, on the screen are these lyrics. The stars above, We model on the arts of Lucifer. That is apparently what Lady Gaga is saying when this particular track is played backwards. Let's carry on. Now, apparently there, what she's saying is, and this is once again just the interpretation of, this is just an interpretation of the person who made this video. I do apologize if this is having a detrimental effect. Jim has made the comment, it's giving me a headache, which is why I'm going to try and break it up. Rather than just playing the whole thing through, because it really, really can have a detrimental effect on you. But apparently we follow your wish or list, received to me if you will, need, believe me. So let's play that bit. I'm just going to let the video run. I'm not going to be repeating it or anything because I understand it's possibly having a detrimental effect. So this will just be in short chunks. Now my arms are open wide, apparently, to find someone who, impossible. Now, if you're particularly sensitive to this kind of stuff, I know it can...
I had this vision of monsters, blood, devil, monsters, demons.
This is Lady Gaga now being interviewed.
Christ. I had this vision of monsters, blood, devil, monsters, demons. Thought about Christ.
The interviewer thinks it's hilarious. Okay, so we move on from Lady Gaga now. We move on to the one-eyed wonder, as she likes to think of herself, as Rihanna. And this is Russian Roulette reversed. Umbrella is one of hers as well, and that has some dodgy stuff in it. Let's take a quick listen to this. I feel I'm not a girl forever. I ask, is my work for evil? Okay, so I'm just going to quickly jump back that little bit so I can give you the explanation. So this is Rihanna's Russian Roulette. This is what... Yeah, it probably does sound better when it's played normally, you're right. I feel I'm not a girl forever. I ask, is my work for evil? I'm sick of it, sex and sad tomorrow. I want to feel like a little girl for the rest of my life. I ask, I'm worthless. So, that's the first bit that I found. It really is disturbing that this kind of stuff is there. I know it's real. Because apparently Queen did this thing like, another one bites the dust. Apparently if you play it backwards, it's fun to smoke marijuana. That's what it said. I mean, okay, let's listen to this now. This is... the idea of reversing music was first described in the book Magic from 1913, featuring Aleister Crowley, or by Aleister Crowley, that evil occultist. Human sacrifice. Nasty, vile, evil. I don't want to use any more bad language. The Beatles and Led Zeppelin were the first in popular culture to experiment with backmasking. Aleister Crowley features on the Sgt. Pepper album cover. This is Revolution number 9 from 1968.
Number 9.
Now let's hear it backwards. Turn me on, dead man. Did you hear that? Turn me on, dead man. I love Satan, apparently. How silly, how foolish, here, kitty kitty. Harry, kitty kitty. This is Gwen Stefani. Yes, I love him, Satan, masturbate.
They like the way we work. They like the way they laugh.
Oh, evil would God live, saying evil would God live. This is HMS2, Fabulous. Hail, Satan, hail. Now, I can't believe this, but here we go. Dora the Explorers, Hail Satan. Hannah Montana, Best of Both Worlds. Listen to this backwards. So this is Miley Cyrus, right? Love for Sale. Well, I think it's finally reached this world. Love for Sale. You think we're hot? So get smart. Pumping up the party from 2006. Hannah Montana again. Miley Cyrus. Want it all, because money talks. Want it all, because money talks. Want it all in the end. Hilary Duff, So Yesterday from 2003. This land, hail this land, hail this Nazi land. Vanessa Hudgens. He's the devil. That one was the end. There was My Ass. Jonas Brothers, Kids of the Future, 2007. I Speak for Satan, Satan, Satan. Paramore, Misery Business from 2007. Did you hear Satan I Love? Avril Lavigne, Girlfriend. I Stab Those N-Word. That's all about the N-word. I am a fierce N-word. I'm not going to bring myself to say it. Rihanna, I can't listen to any more of that. I've got more, but I'm not going to go any more with that because it's just poison. Well, that particular thing is. So, the point I'm making is that whilst I've played you loads and loads and loads of examples of backmasking there, one has to wonder why these things. Is it just for money? Is it just for money, do you think? Because there seems to be a lot of stuff there that's kind of it's it's contradictory to what we would class as normal, isn't it? It's contradictory to how we should be living our lives. Yes, subliminal. That's probably the word I should have been looking for. But the whole thing just seems totally contrary to any kind of moral code that I or anybody else who's right thinking, he said, laying himself open to shed loads of abuse possibly, but a right-thinking person, why would you do this? Well, when you're creating something, when you're creating a piece of art, do you really sit there and think, I wonder if I can hide a message in it? Well, obviously people are doing. Here's a classics tune that hopefully you'll hear shortly. So, let's play this. It's 24 seconds. You'll recognise it straight away. I hope. Why isn't it working? Uh-oh. Why isn't it work? Oh, why? Annoying technology. Basically, what it's got is, it's Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. Okay? And forward, if there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alarmed now. It's just a spring clean for the May Queen. Yes, there are 2 paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. And in reverse, and for some reason I don't understand why you can't hear it, because everything should be connected. Oh, this is so annoying. Hold on, I wonder. Have I? There. All right, let's try it now. Oh, do you know technology? There we go.
If there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alone there. It's just a sprinkling for the May Queen. Yes, there are 2 paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on.
Okay, so that's 24 seconds from that classic song, Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. Now, let's hear it in reverse and see if you can pick out what the phrase is. Okay, so if you're in the chat box and you're able to just give us an idea what you heard, I'd be fascinated to hear what you heard. Nobody's coming up with anything. Interesting. Maybe it doesn't work. Do I play it again? Let's play it again. Yes, there is much more on. Now, I'll read you the lyrics then. Okay, so if you play Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven, this particular section, this 24 seconds that's been there, well, for as long as I can remember, this song, is, I've listened to this thousands of times, and can honestly say that I haven't been influenced in any way. But this is what it says forward. If there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alarmed now. It's just a spring clean for the May Queen. Yes, there are 2 paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. Okay. So, in reverse, the 24 seconds, says this. Oh, here's to my sweet Satan, the one whose little path would make me sad, whose power is Satan. He'll give those with him 666. There was a little tool shed where he made us suffer. Sad Satan. Frankly, I'm just totally shocked that if that was genuinely hidden on purpose in that track, then I feel like I've just been completely duped. Completely and utterly duped. For all these years, I've listened to these tracks. I've held this music up as uplifting, inspirational, in a positive way. And Golden Girl, okay. And then, right, here we go. This is what I was going to talk about with balance, all right? I was going to say that often you don't hear these things until you're told that they're there. Because, like you, Clear Angel, I didn't hear any of that until I actually read the lyrics. So, let's play it again, and this time, let's see if you hear the lyrics that I just presented to you. It is difficult. Now, I'm sitting here with the lyrics in front of me. And I can hear the words, but I have to have read the lyrics first. I have to have read this particular interpretation. Then listen to it and go, oh yeah, I can hear it. Now, here's one that I mentioned earlier from my favourite band of all time. I put my, the fact that I got through my teenage years, right? I put that down to this band, and I'll play you this 9 seconds, and I'm sure you'll recognise it. Okay, here we go. This is another track we're moving on to now.
Another one busts the dust. Another one busts the dust. Ow! Another one busts the dust. Hey, hey! Another one busts the dust. Hey!
Right. Okay, so let me play that again. It's 9 seconds.
Another one busts the dust. Another one busts the dust. Ow! Another one busts the dust. Hey, hey! Another one busts the dust. Hey!
Right. So that's what it goes for. It's Queen. Another one bites the dust. Let's hear it backwards. Now, you tell me what you can hear. If you're in the chat box, it'd be great to see what you think it is he's saying. Okay. Shall I play it again? Let's play it again just for you. So, what did you hear? Before I tell you what the reverse lyrics are, which is just the same phrase repeated according to this. Is anybody... there we are, you're just about there. You're just about there. I'll play it one more time for you. Okay. Now, the phrase that is repeated is, it's fun to smoke marijuana. Now I've told you that. Now let's see if you can hear it. I bet you heard it that time, didn't you? Because I told you what it was supposed to be saying. It's fun to smoke marijuana. It is hard. Now that's interesting because Clear Angel in the chat box has said decide to smoke marijuana. Now the lyrics I'm seeing and henceforth what I'm hearing is it's fun to smoke marijuana, and it is difficult. So, right, that's it. That's the last one now. I'm not going to play any more of those. Because then I would be just as guilty as you know, the people that did it for kind of influencing you. But backmasking, that's what it's called. That's what it's known as. It started in the 60s, and if I'd been told decades ago that if you played Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven song backwards, then you could make out a satanic message, then I would have been amazed, because, as I said earlier, Led Zeppelin and Queen and all these other artists are not artists that I would have put down as being, hardcore Satanists that had to get their message out. I mean, I suppose if they were hardcore Satanists, they wouldn't have written it in backwards. They would have just said, look, Satan, there you go, put it in the lyrics of a song or something, just be out there with it. But, it just, it just totally amazes me that this stuff is there. We know it's there. We see it, we hear it every day, and we allow ourselves, our children, our families to be influenced by this stuff, whether we know it or not. Okay, so here's some music that, as far as I'm aware, doesn't have any backmasking in it.
There's chaos in the streets, I hear. They say apocalypse is near. With both feet anchored on the ground, as the world keeps spinning round and round. Well, the men you trust are far more cruel, and nature's cold and different rule. So I hope that I don't sound too obtuse when I say that I don't see the use in trying to change the world this way, 'cause I think that someday this world will turn to ash, and the foes of this lifetime no longer clash, and everything that we built will fall when we all go following death's sweet call. I guess I don't care at all.
In a world of sleeping sheeple, not knowing right from wrong, in this good versus evil epic battle of all time, confused, bewildered, and bewitched by politically correct devil doublespeak propaganda, rising from the pits of hell.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance. You are bombarded by the conditioning illusion projected forth by corporate and government-controlled mass media. A world of mind-controlled automatons, unable to think or speak out or stand up for themselves. You're entering a world where everything is just the opposite of what you think it is. You are living in the Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone.
It'll take the gallant effort of all awake people uniting as one against the globalists in the name of freedom and truth. You are Paul Revere, sounding the alarm. Tell your friends and everyone you know to go to awakeradio.us and awakeradio.co.uk for all the information and truth. Visit their affiliate partner, shazizradio.com, thelibertybeacon.com, 1800online.weebly.com, and shakeandwakeradio.com, the online home of Shake and Wake with Rick and Annie and Wild Bill Samsel's Freedom Posse. Check out the new morning show, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. GMT in the UK, on Awake Radio.
Do yourself a favor, tune in on any of those networks. Shake and Wake, Shaziz, Awake UK, Awake US, 1800online.weebly.com, any of them. Just tune in, check them out, and tune in to Wild Bill. Hey, darling, there's something else you gotta do, too. You know, while you're down there with Wild Bill. Deal with it! Yeah, I'm picking up their catchphrases already. Right, this is Alan Taylor-Shearer. You're listening to The End Game here on Awake Radio, Shaziz. Shake and Wake and 1800online.weebly.com. Oh, yes, that's so cool. Right, now, I promised Mark that I would play this because coming up in April is a really important event. It's historical, it's new, it's a massive adventure, and then coming up after that, I have something special for, or by, a very special lady who's come into the lives of us blokes at the Community Press Group. Anyway, this is Mark Taylor and myself, recorded earlier on this evening, talking about an event that's coming up on the Garbage Pod later in April. Right, we're going to have a guest. I've decided. Hello?
Hello there, Alan.
How are you?
Not too bad, sir. Yourself?
Guest, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, indeed. It's Mark Taylor from the Garbage Pod.
The Garbage Pod. Oh, it's a load of garbage. Is it your input is our output? Is that right?
That's correct.
Excellent. So, Mark, good to hear from you. You've got something special coming up, haven't you?
Yeah, there's a huge event coming up on the 12th of April. And it's something that the Garbage Pod has been involved with for a few years. Well, This will be our third year that we've been involved in, although I actually started recording pieces for it before we actually started as a podcast. I anticipated I'd be using it.
Well, that's good to know then. So you were forward planning.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so 2014, this is something that's been going on for a while. Tell us about it.
Right, it's all about an event that takes place, as I say, on the 12th of April every year. The event is called Yuri's Night. Now, Yuri's Night is a special event where people all over the world, mostly involved in the space community, get together to celebrate human achievement in space. And the reason why the 12th of April has been chosen is that was the date that Major Yuri Gagarin became the first human to actually leave this planet and fly around orbit.
Now, the Russians have put dogs and animals in space, but like you say, Yuri was the first one to go up there. What was so special about him?
He was a common man, really. He was a foundry worker.
Really?
Yeah, and in his spare time, he actually joined a flying club and became extremely good at it. And the Soviet test pilot service decided to take him on board. And from there, he was chosen as one of the 13 little eagles, as they were known, to train to be astronauts.
Wow, that's amazing. You see, I always thought, because I'll be honest, I've not looked into his life, but I always thought that he was a career military man, had been specially trained, specially chosen, and long before the space program. I just thought, well, he's the product of the Soviet hothousing, and they've been training him since he was a boy and all this kind of stuff. But no, he was just regular, ordinary man, foundry man.
Yeah, actually, when he achieved his flight into orbit, he did a kind of a world tour. He actually came to England, and he was taken to London and did all the stuff with the dignitaries and whatever. And then he went to Manchester.
Manchester.
He went to a foundry in Manchester, and they gave him some kind of medal, something to do with the workers' unions.
Oh, right, okay. Wow. So ordinary man goes from regular foundry worker to first man in space and first man in orbit. That's amazing too. And the technology. Tell me about the technology, because there wasn't a lot of it by today's standards, was there?
Basically, it was all valves, really. There was computers on board, but not anything like we have now. I mean, your average pocket calculator had more memory in it than the computer. That was on board Vostok 1.
Right.
But the authorities didn't want him to have access to the controls. It was all supposedly controlled from Earth.
Okay.
All he had to do was sit there. But his mentor, who was a guy called Sergei Korolev, who was an amazing man, and he didn't get the respect, really, that he should have got while he was alive, put it that way.
Right.
He actually whispered the access codes to override to Yuri, just in case there were problems.
Oh, brilliant. So, just in case, Yuri, give him the PIN number.
Also, somebody smuggled on board a bottle of vodka.
Well, of course.
There was one point in the mission where he got a little bit nervous, and he started to drink a little bit of this vodka, and through the earpieces of the guys at Mission Control was these rude Russian songs.
Were they broadcast to the world as well?
No.
So that was 1961, and then sort of 8-9 years later, we had Apollo and Man on the Moon.
Well, let's just say from Yuri Gagarin, the Russians were in control until that point, until 1969.
Right.
They had the first woman on board in orbit.
Okay.
They were the first ones to actually orbit the moon. They did so many different firsts. They had, I think, 6 or 7 different firsts before the Americans got their foot in the door, as it were.
Wow.
I mean, even if you think about it, in 1957, they launched the first satellite, the Russians, Sputnik. Yeah. So they were well ahead of the game, and then Kennedy basically said, "We're not having this." So we're going to be the first on the moon.
But technologically, there was a massive leap forward in the space of less than a decade, wasn't there?
Yeah, and I think because the pressure was on, it made the technology appear much quicker.
Right.
And this is why space technology has taken its time to evolve. I mean, in 2011, we stopped using the space shuttle. Now, that was actually designed in the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
So, actually, the ships, or should I say, the vessels that they use now, the Soyuz, which is the only rocket that can actually get to the International Space Station, is based around Vostok 1, which is the ship that took Yuri up into orbit.
Wow. So, we've got Yuri's Night coming up. Tell me a bit more about that particular event.
Well, as I say, it's a huge event. There's countries that you wouldn't even believe taking part. This year, Ethiopia are taking part.
Right. Do they have a space program?
No, but they appreciate it. I mean,
good. Yeah.
There are a lot of scholars in Ethiopia who obviously studying things like astrophysics and things like that. So they do appreciate it. So I would imagine that the events that they are hosting are going to be a little bit more educational than some of the others that are out there.
Yeah.
Some of them are massive parties, and I do mean massive parties. A lot of the NASA bases actually host some of these parties, and they are phenomenal. I know a couple of people that have been to them, and they said they had a whale of a time while they were there. In 2011, for the 50th anniversary, they brought out this special film called First Orbit. Now, First Orbit was what they actually did with it. They actually took the whole of the audio recording of Yuri's flight, and then the guys that were on the International Space Station actually filmed the whole journey through as it went round orbit itself.
Oh, fantastic. So it sort of gave you an idea of what it was like to go around then?
Yeah, it's an amazing piece of film, and you can actually find it on YouTube. You can watch it on there for free. You can actually buy it as a DVD or a Blu-ray, but you can actually watch it for free on YouTube.
Brilliant. So, what's the Garbage Pod's input into this output?
Well, in 2011, we started getting involved in it. John Witz and we went to a local Yuri's Night event for the 50th anniversary, where we met a rather special guy that who was an actual rocket scientist. Okay. And he hosted an event in Hitchin, believe it or not, Hitchin in Hertfordshire in the UK. And from there, we got talking with him, and we got our interest into it. And that's what I actually recorded for the next year's show, because we didn't actually have a podcast in 2011 until December. So it went out on the next available Yuri's Night.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
In 2012. So it was the highlights of that and my input into it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Last year we did a really good podcast because we put the message out to the community, asking them the question, what does Yuri's Night mean to you? And we got some really interesting feedback from that, including audio messages from the hosts of NASA's own podcast.
Oh, brilliant. And that's, let me get this right, is that Kate Arkless?
No, that will be, these are the guys at NASA Edge.
I see.
They're educators themselves. Chris, the main host, is actually a teacher. So he wanted to try and put space into a way that every man could understand. And that's what they try and do. Their tagline is an inside and outside look at all things NASA.
Splendid. Now, you're not going to be at Garbage headquarters, are you, this year?
No, certainly not. This year we're doing something really special. We are heading out to the National Space Centre in Leicester in the UK. We're teaming up with their space communication and education team, and we're spending a few hours with them to basically, we're going to do a Space Cadet's Guide to Space.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
So what we want to try and do is go from grassroots up to the top, and, using their exhibits and their knowledge, try and find out as much information as we can about space and human spaceflight.
Fantastic. Now, I've been to the Space Centre in Leicester 2 or 3 times. I went with the kids. I went to take the kids. It wasn't for myself. It was for the kids, you understand. But I found it absolutely fascinating. It's an amazing place.
Yeah, I haven't actually been before, so it'll be something really special for myself. For Yuri's Night, I have a special jacket that I've had made up, and it only comes out at Yuri's Night, and I'm hoping that if there's any young people there, they don't mistake me for an astronaut.
Could be embarrassing if they ask what it's like to go to the toilet in space and you've never actually done that.
But yeah, so we're actually, as I say, recording with them. Or we're actually going on the 4th of April.
Okay.
But we're going to have the recording ready, and we're hoping to get it out as a polished piece of recording for Yuri's Night itself on the 12th of April. We're actually got it as an official registered Yuri's Night event.
Brilliant.
And it's also a Facebook event as well. And we're hoping that people will enjoy our findings, really.
Okay, so space cadets, you need some space cadets, is that right?
That's correct. We need to have some questions to actually put to the people at the Space Centre. We've got a few lined up, but we'd like as many as we can. So if you could get some questions over to us, if you can go to, what you need to do, if you go to our main website, which is www.thegarbagepod.weebly.com, there's a big Yuri's Night logo. If you click on that, that will take you to the Yuri's Night Mission Control Centre for all the events, and have our one listed there, and it will give you a list of all the different ways you can contact us with your questions. Don't forget to leave your name and where you're from, so that we can give you a shout out on the podcast.
And that'll be going out on the night, 12th of April. And I'm looking at the page now, Yuri's Night 2014. It's live streaming. So you say it's registered as an official event. That means that it's going to be played out at a particular time, and then people are going to, all around the globe, are going to be listening?
Hopefully, yes. What we're going to do, we're in talks with a couple of radio networks. We're with hopefully with Awake Radio and Shaziz, and hopefully they're going to put it out at various times during the day. I'm going to ask yourself whether it would be okay to put the podcast up on your 1800 network.
Oh, I think we might be able to squeeze it in there.
And also, the podcast will be available for download from our website, and it's also available on iTunes, on TuneIn Radio, and Stitcher On Demand.
Fantastic. So, if you want to get involved and you want to be a space cadet saving the globe from the venomous aliens, or are there aliens out there, Mark?
There are aliens here.
So if you want to be a space cadet, and give us the website address again, Mark, and how to get in touch and pose those space-related questions.
Okay, so the website address is www.thegarbagepod.weebly.com. As I say, there's a link there on the front page. Just click on that, and that will take you to the Mission Control Center at Yuri's Night's webpage.
Fantastic. Mark Taylor from the Garbage Pod.
On the turning away from the pale and downtrodden, and the words that they say which we don't understand, don't accept that what's happening is just a case of other suffering, or you'll find that you're joining in on the turning away. It's a sin that somehow night is changing to shadow and casting its shroud over all we have known, unaware how the ranks have grown, driven on by a heart of stone. We may find that we're all alone in the dream of the proud, on the wings of the night, as the daytime is stirring, where the speechless unite in a silent accord. Using words you may find strange, mesmerized as they light the flame. Feel the new wind of change on the wings of the night. No more turning away from the weak and the weary. No more turning away from the coldness inside. Just a world that we all must share. It's not enough just to stand and stare. Is it only a dream that there'll be no more turning away?
Wow. 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 Something strange just happened to me. Gosh. let me tell you that was Cheryl Smale, who I've had the great pleasure of working with over the last couple of days, and I will be working with again. And she's a journalist and a mum and a singer and an actress and an artist and a good laugh, and she's got one of those little button noses. Anyway, move on. Right, so yeah, that was Cheryl Smale, and on the Turning Away, go to her YouTube channel, Cheryl Smale Arts, and check out her work, and I'm sure you'll be able to find out loads more because she's listening, and that's why I was making reference to button noses and stuff, because I'm a cheeky sod and I can. There she is, look, she's in the chat box. Woohoo! So I'm definitely going to play that again, obviously. Not now. You're okay. And I don't think that there were any hidden messages in it. I'll have to play it backwards and find out. Cheryl, is there any hidden messages in there? Like, only eat vegetables. Only eat vegetables. Possibly. Right. Yeah, nothing like a good plug for the staff, you're right, quite right. And how we should play it backwards. Okay. I'll have to mess about with it and play it backwards. Oh, you've got to have fun, haven't you? Okay, right. If you want to find out more about the Garbage Pod and Yuri's Night 2014, a Space Cadet's Guide to Space. It's going to be a live streaming event. We'll just read you what's on the website. It's that time of year again, and as a tradition on the Garbage Pod, we like to take part in the global celebration that is Yuri's Night, where the space community around the world celebrates human achievement in space that we know of. It takes place on the 12th of April, the day that Yuri Gagarin became the first human that we know of in orbit in 1961. We at the Garbage Pod try to create something different every year, and so far we've managed this. In 2012, we played in highlights of a local Yuri's Night event that we attended for the 50th anniversary of Yuri's iconic flight. In 2013, we put out a call to the space community asking, quote, what does Yuri's Night mean to you? And we received some interesting feedback, including audio from the hosts of NASA Edge and Kate Arkless Gray, and that's at Space Kate if you want to follow her on Twitter. This year, we're proud to announce that we will be working with the National Space Centre in Leicester, UK. That's pronounced L-E-S-T-E-R, Leicester, not Leicester. The theme of this year's podcast is, quote, a Space Cadet's Guide to Space, and with the help of the National Space Centre's Space Communication and Education team, we hope to bring you an entertaining episode. However, we need your help. Do you have any questions about space or space exploration that you would like answered? How do you go to the toilet in space? If so, contact us via email, garbagepod@virginmedia.com, or send us a tweet at The Garbage Pod, or contact us via the Facebook event page. We need your questions before Sunday the 30th of March. We might be able to extend that a little bit, just a little bit. The Yuri's Night podcast will be streamed on various internet radio networks at various times during Yuri's Night, and the podcast will also be available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, and from the website too. Keep watching our Twitter feed and visit www.thegarbagepod.weebly.com for more information. So that's the Garbage Pod and Yuri's Night at the International Space Station, the National Space Centre in Leicester. Now, had a chat with Mark earlier about backmasking and other stuff that's in the news, and we had a bit of a general chat as well, so I thought I'd like to play you that as well, because he is a fantastic and fascinating young man. Brilliant.
It's
right.
absolutely fantastic to be on the show again, Alan.
As always. Okay, let's, do you mind hanging around and moving on from space type stuff a little bit?
No, not at all. Actually, I was listening in a few moments ago when you were talking about things that are played backwards. And it reminded me of, there's an episode of Red Dwarf, the sci-fi comedy show, which is, the episode is actually called Backwards.
Right.
A lot of it is played backwards all the way through it. And there's a scene where there's a comedy nightclub owner who's having a go at a couple of the characters, Rimmer and Crichton, and he's really shouting at them and shaking his fists and things. And I actually played it backwards to see what he was saying forwards, and he actually says something along the lines of, I'm not actually talking to you, I'm talking to you, the one sad person that is actually playing this backwards to try and find out what I'm talking about.
Fantastic. So that little in joke, and you had to go and find it. Now, what? So we know this has been going on for a long time. What's the purpose, do you think?
To sell records.
Really? It's nothing more sinister than that, do you think?
I think, as you say, you can possibly find anything in anything. If you really want to look hard enough, you can find something.
Yeah, and I think the point I was making about the suggestion of, I listened to those video clips. I listened to them without watching the video, just to see if I could pick up anything before I looked at the explanation that had been given by whoever had made the video. And I'll be honest with you, I just heard backwards singing. Maybe I'm not that susceptible to it, but then I say that, but then when I actually watched the videos again, and this time looked at the explanations that were given and the words that these people had picked out, then I could hear it, but I had to be prompted.
It reminds me of something else, actually. There was a TV series, sci-fi again, called Max Headroom. I don't know if you remember it.
Oh yes, I remember Max Headroom.
And they, in the storyline, the television companies invented this thing called blipverts.
Yeah.
And basically it's nanoseconds long, but there'll be a word on the screen that'll pop up. It'll say, I don't know, McDonald's, for example. Mm-hmm. And subconsciously you're thinking, I could fancy a McDonald's right now.
Now that happens, and that is used, I'm sure of it.
That doesn't surprise me.
But isn't it fascinating how we can be manipulated, and we can be susceptible to these things that consciously we don't see it or hear it, but then subconsciously we pick up on these cues. I think the whole science is fascinating.
It's not just that either. I mean, you look at it in what you regard as the prostitutes, where I'll give you an example. The Andrew Saxgate thing with Jonathan Ross and Russell Brand.
Yes.
The amount of complaints that were made about that, the whole scenario, and how many people actually listened to it who actually complained. It's only because the newspapers made a big thing out of it that they were in uproar. They didn't listen themselves. So it's a similar thing. Your mind is being turned around by something you haven't actually witnessed yourself. It's really stupid.
It is stupid, but it's also something that we have to be aware of, whether we are thinking about, all the bad stuff that's going on. But being aware of this, that this stuff is out there and that it's happening. But once again, striking that balance that not everything, like let's take Yuri's Night, for instance, that could be seen by somebody as a glorification of communism and a glorification of man's dominance of space, when actually it's celebrating the fact that a human being had the heroism to put themselves in a tin can, put on top of a big firework, light the firework, and then travel with it out of Earth's atmosphere. It's just, I mean, that in itself is an amazing thing, but you could take that and say, oh, it's all about celebrating communism. And, and there are people out there that will do that.
Well, you see, the thing is with that is that the Yuri's Night event wasn't actually created by the Russians.
Right.
It was created by the Americans. So, as you will.
Now, so how old is Yuri's Night? Is it something that's been going on for, I don't know, a decade or more? Or?
It started in 2001.
All right, okay.
By a couple, actually. It's Loretta and George Whitesides. They came up with the idea. Loretta came up with the idea, actually. Her idea was that in years to come, there are going to be people living or colonising on other planets, and they're going to feel alienated from home. Imagine a young child away from the planet that their parents or grandparents or whatever lived on.
Yeah.
And so we're having these Yuri's Night events. So eventually, it's a celebration that will spread out around the cosmos. That was her dream.
What a dream to have.
Yeah.
So what else is on your radar at the moment, Mark? What else is annoying you, buzzing around your head? What else are you excited about?
Well, we're involved in quite a few things at the moment, and one of them you're actually involved in as well. It's coming up this weekend. It's the UK Podcasters' first meetup.
Indeed. Right from the very start, the Garbage Pod and 1800 Online will be there. And I'm looking forward to that.
It's going to be good. It really will be good. Because I've been talking to a contributor to the Garbage Pod, a guy called Beer Show Jimmy. Now, if you're familiar with the Garbage Pod episodes that have been out on the 1800 network already, he makes an appearance a couple of times on there. Mm-hmm. Now, he's one of the pioneers of UK podcasting, which started around about the mid-noughties, and he used to produce or helped to produce a magazine called Podcast User Magazine.
Okay.
Which folded up a little while ago, and they did have some conventions then, and he has been in touch with the organisers of this event, just send him words of good luck and different things like that.
Brilliant.
Which I thought was quite a nice touch.
Yeah, and I think this is something that's long overdue, because we've had podcasting here for a very long time, and internet broadcasting and everything. Now, the podcasts for this show are a little bit behind, because I've been really focusing, concentrating on the rebroadcasting and the live broadcasting online presence. But they are out there. They are there for people to download, listen to, and the great thing about podcasting is you can download it and keep it, and you've got it.
That is it. I've got a couple of what they call vodcasts, which are video podcasts.
Excellent.
From the NASA Edge guys. Actually, I've actually got the one they made in 2008 for the Yuri's Night that they were covering, which is where I thought to myself, I want to get involved in this. So. So I kept that, and it's really good for nostalgia. You can go back and listen to things from the past, and you know, especially if you keep your own ones, and you sort of think to yourself, did I actually say that?
You know, I listen back to some of my very early broadcasts and podcasts, and I think, oh, that's painful.
But this event apparently was inspired by the big new media expos that they have in Las Vegas.
Okay.
the two organisers went over to the one earlier in the year and came back and thought to themselves, oh, we've got to wait a whole year before we can go back. Why haven't we got anything like this in the UK?
So they went ahead and organised it, and we're going to be joining many other podcasters. I mean, it's going to be a great networking experience, but I think also just to see and hear the people behind the voices, and also pick up some tips and ideas, I think.
Well, it's already started because UK podcasters have set up a Facebook group.
Okay.
And occasionally you get the people that have joined it, and they're asking questions, and people come in and they say, oh, what you want to do with that is this, they're already giving out tips and stuff.
Fantastic. Go on.
It's already becoming a community, so...
And hopefully it's one that'll last and will stick around, because that's the kind of thing that people like you and I just need to have kind of a backup where we can, nip to the Facebook page and just, if we're having an issue, or we just want to see if an idea might work, because somebody else has probably done it. And being able to just maybe learn from their mistakes, check their experiences, see where they went wrong and maybe improve it. It's long overdue, as I say.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of products you can buy out there, but some of it is very overpriced. Now there could be some guys out there who do podcasting and have got a cheaper way of doing it. Some they can modify themselves to do exactly the same job, but save yourself some money. And that's another great thing about these meetups.
Oh, I'm always into saving money. There's a new podcast that's going to be added onto the 1800 Online Network from this evening, actually. It's an episode of Shake and Wake, which is a new program that's going out on Awake Radio. And in partnership with them, we are going to be playing it on 1800 Online because... this particular show is going to be the first Shake and Wake that we're putting on the network, because they have an interview with Judith Very Baker.
Okay.
Now, if you're not sure who Judith Very Baker is, she was somebody's girlfriend back in the 1960s.
The name rings a bell.
She was the girlfriend of Lee Harvey Oswald.
Ah, right. Now, yes.
And but before she was Lee's girlfriend, at the age of 19, she was developing ways of speeding up cancer in rats.
Okay.
So that work could be done to find a cure, because it was taking forever for these lab rats, to develop cancer so that they could then be used as testing rats for potential cures. And she discovered a way to give these rats cancer within like 7 days. And that was at age 19. She then went on to, she was then picked up and handled by the CIA because of what she'd done. And she just sort of developed this as like a school project, a high school project. And then it was picked up by the CIA, and she started working for them. But when she discovered that they'd used her work, and tested it on an actual human, and a couple of men from prison have been taken, perfectly healthy men have been taken, and her techniques have been used on them, and they've been killed very quickly. And the CIA wanted to take this technology and see if they could kill Fidel Castro with it. And Lee Harvey Oswald was actually the courier who was taking stuff between her and another sort of CIA base, and that's how they met. because he was actually taking her work or taking her papers, and he was just a courier going backwards and forwards. But it turns out he was also her handler. So she obviously got to know him incredibly well. And then the whole JFK thing happened. And then Lee Harvey Oswald himself was shot. But this podcast, is her, in her own words, telling the story, and truth as she sees it and as she understood it to be. And, she's been pretty much on the run ever since. Because of what she knows about cancer and, its potential cures, and also, because of her connection to Lee Harvey Oswald and the whole JFK, I'm going to use the word hoax.
Probably a good way of putting it, really.
Yeah, but that's coming onto the network as well, and we will be carrying Shake and Wake in the future because it's a daily show. But I really want to focus on this particular episode because I heard it on Awake Radio a couple of nights ago when I was driving. I heard the rebroadcast of the earlier show in the day, and I had to pull off the motorway. I had to get off the motorway and just stop and listen to this thing. It was so compelling. Absolutely amazing piece of radio.
It is quite interesting when you mention what you just did about, Lee Harvey Oswald's involvement with the CIA. Because there's so much that has happened in the past that a lot of people don't realise the involvement that the CIA have had in it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I've got an interview that I've been running. I might actually put this my own interview with Ole Demogord, who's a Danish man who's been doing a lot of investigative journalism amongst loads and loads of other stuff. He's an artist, musician as well and everything. But he's had to be moving around different countries of the world to try and keep ahead of people who want to kill him for what he knows. And I've got an interview with him that I've done. In fact, I've done a couple of interviews, but one in particular where he lays out the whole sequence of events that we've seen around assassinations like JFK and other assassinations and massive world events, and he's laid out the template, and just listening to him as he talks about his research and he talks about what he's discovered. It was like the Boston bombing. He was talking about that with the Boston Marathon, with the bombs that went off at the finish line. It's not all bad. There is some good people out there. Loads of them in the chat room at the moment and on across all the networks carrying the show. I'm still humbled every time I come on air that people take the time to listen. Especially when there's nonsense like this. Well, this is the only thing that is fake. You're listening to Awake Radio. Well, this is the only thing that's fake. It's the only thing that's fake. There you go, just for joke. Right, first of all, I got to give a public apology for not mentioning right at the top of the show that I was going to be doing that reverse stuff. And it is a very serious topic, and I tried to present it as best I could, but I forgot that it has a very negative impact. So my apologies for that. And it's something that I will remember in the future, that if I'm going to cover topics like that, I need to let people know, because you need to have that right, and you need to have that freedom of choice to decide what to listen to. And if I spring stuff on like that on you, then obviously you know the damage is done. Okay, let's have a quick look through the real media. Let's have a look at what's really going on. So let's start off with the Community Press Group. I will be making a jingle because this show is being presented to you and brought to you in association with the Community Press Group. So, police protection of politicians and the mainstream media, the budget day sanitisation. This is by Albert Tickle of Glamorgan CPG. Now, since when did it become the duty of police officers to protect politicians and the mainstream media from public opinion? Now, this is based on the reports that we did with the guys from UK Column, Brian Gerrish and Justin Walker, and they were there to campaign for and about the Bradbury Pound, which is the credit-based currency, which doesn't work on debt, obviously, and would solve the vast majority of the national and local and personal financial issues which are presented to us today. So let's see what Albert's got to say about this. Hopefully you'll have already seen the article posted on the CPG site regarding the budget day on the 19th of March 2014. That titled, The Community Press Group Covers Budget Day 2014 and the Campaign to Reintroduce the Bradbury Pound. The aim of this UK Column event was to educate the public, mainstream journalists, the police and any MPs or lords about the clear benefits of reintroducing the Bradbury Pound. However, when we arrived at the designated media area, it had already been cordoned off to the public, presumably to protect the media from the general public. A thin blue line in the form of a nylon rope was set up across the whole area, with a fairly high number of police officers posted at regular intervals. It was not a protest or an attempt to cause a scene. The CPG UK Column and 1800 online team had set up an initial position near to the BBC, which was the only crew with an elevated platform as they awaited the arrival of Brian Gerrish and Justin Walker for their interview to camera. Only media people who were in possession of a press pass were allowed into this sterile area, which thus prevented the public entry. Police liaison officers wearing the distinctive light blue tabards were facilitating, I'm using air quotes, both the entry as well as the positioning of media crews on the green itself. For those who are not familiar with the area, this is the smallish grassed square known as College Green next to the Palace of Westminster that is used by the mainstream media, or prostitutes as I like to call them, to interview MPs with the Parliament building as a backdrop. Of course, we know that the mainstream media did not want the public to be able to interfere with their broadcasts and interviews, or to be present within the background with their own messages or signs and posters in shot when the politicians, these public servants, are giving their response and comments regarding the budget. Belinda Mackenzie, who is a long-term campaigner for child protection, Battle for Britain's Children, in particular the case of the Down syndrome woman Holly Gregg, was also present, but again was kept away from the media and politicians. After the interview had been completed, the police liaison officer appeared once again to move us away to another area. This I found to be most curious. I thought this was a curious arrangement, given that I thought the role of the police was to maintain law and order and keep the peace, rather than be used to facilitate the positioning of media film crews on a patch of grass. The thin blue line was doing its job in keeping the public at bay from entering who had gathered around the green to orchestrate their campaign. Perhaps it was there to protect the grass, However, I could not see any keep off the grass signage. We were later given permission to move a few yards to an open area that gave a better backdrop of the Palace of Westminster for the CPG interview. So, in conclusion, it's clear to me that the mainstream media use the police to keep the public away and to ensure that their sanitised messages about the budget were the only ones to be seen and heard by their audience. If the public had been allowed to mingle with them, then other messages on the Bradbury Pound and child abuse would have reached a wider audience. Later that afternoon, Bill Maloney, who's another high-profile campaigner against child abuse from Pie and Mash Films, arrived at the thin blue line boundary and immediately caused a stir when he dared to raise his voice towards Vince Cable, who was being interviewed by a film crew just inside the cordoned-off media area. So she was also allowed brief access to the press area for an interview with CPG journalists and film crew. Some MPs, such as Kenneth Clarke, Vince Cable and Norman Lamont, did walk over to the media area and were met with shouts and heckles from the public. This was just short-lived inconvenience for them, which they ignored. This upset Vince and the film crew, who had to abandon their interview due to Bill's words, which were very clearly being recorded by the film crew. However, once again, the thin blue line held against this increasing tide of public opinion that dared to be aired. The mainstream media could have got an instant reaction from the public, but no. It is all controlled and carefully managed for general consumption to a general public who are asleep. Meh. In addition, Patrick Henningsen, who is an author, journalist and founder of the 21st Century Wire news website, was being interviewed by the Community Press Group over the thin blue line cordon. Yes, we had to even speak to another journalist with the cordon in between us. I was doing a lot of filming that day, and I was acting as a cameraman, and it was bizarre how the control and the shepherding was being done by these police liaison who are supposed to be there to facilitate the peaceful demonstration. But there was no demonstration, there was no protest, there was simply some journalists doing some interviewing with people who had comment on the budget that day. So, let's move on to 21st Century Wire then, with Patrick Henningsen's website, and let's have a look what they are talking about. So, flight MH370 found? Not quite. Now the real whitewash begins. So, March 25th, this was posted, and this is by 21st Century Wire. So let's see what they've got to say. After nearly 1 month of turning up absolutely nothing, suddenly the public are being told that the case of missing Malaysian airliner MH370 has been solved. Well, sort of. It was a search and rescue operation on an unprecedented scale, combined through over 30,000 nautical miles, involving 60 ships, 50 aircraft, all in an effort to find one missing Boeing 777. Which is said to have set off from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing on March 8, 2014, only to disappear into thin air without trace. This week, Malaysian authorities made the dramatic announcement that they had finally found the aircraft without any debris sighting. On cue, global mainstream media outlets ran continuous coverage on Monday, March 24th of this week, showing footage of men looking out of the window of a Royal Australian Air Force P-3, looking rather intensely at a trail of smoke hanging over the water, but failed to tell viewers in many instances that this was merely a smoke marker placed there, no doubt for the cameras. This, we were told, is meant to draw a line under the story of a communal move-on moment. The Malaysian Prime Minister boldly announced that analysis of satellite data concludes beyond doubt that the plane had in fact gone down in the southern Indian Ocean 2,500 kilometres west of Perth, Australia. A few objects were said to be found, but these were not shown on TV or to media. Objects can be picked out picked up in a few hours, Malaysia's Transport Minister said, while Australian PM Tony Abbott said, quote, one object was circular and grey or green, and the other rectangular and orange. But it could be flotsam. In reality, nothing. What is clear now is that there's still no evidence of a Boeing 777 crash landing there. Here, where things get dicey, this suddenly incredible debris sighting has been based on information from one private British telecoms firm, Inmarsat, who ran a fleet of 30 satellites globally, overlapping with systems run by US-based Raytheon. Inmarsat claimed to have come to their conclusion based on data, quote, relayed between the plane and the ground station by satellite. Inmarsat was sent its computer findings on Friday to the UK Air Accident Investigation Branch based in Aldershot, Hampshire, who spent one day going over the figures before sending it to the Malaysian authorities. Of all the likely destinations for the missing flight, it seems incredible that it would fly for 3 or more hours south, only to ditch the plane in the water miles from any landmass. This latest conclusion is based almost solely on computer-modelled data supplied by Inmarsat, and as yet, no physical proof of flight MH370 has actually crashed at the location they are claiming it did. By contrast, an actual eyewitness sighting was reported on the morning of the crash, but was more or less ignored by all governments and mainstream media outlets. Have Iru local news previously confirmed that, quote, residents of the remote Maldives island of Kuda Huvadhu in Dal Atoll have reported seeing a low-flying jumbo jet on the morning of the disappearance of the Malaysian Airlines flight MH370. That report continues, quote, eyewitnesses from the Kudu Huvadhu concurred that the aeroplane was travelling north to southeast towards the southern tip of the Maldives, Adu. They also noted the incredibly loud noise that the flight made when it flew over the island. I've never seen a jet flying so low over our island before. We've seen seaplanes, but I'm sure that this was not one of those. I could even make out the doors on the plane clearly, said an eyewitness. It's not just me either. Several of the residents have reported seeing the exact same thing. Some people got out of their houses to see what was causing the tremendous noise too. Coincidentally, the Maldives Islands are more or less along a direct flight path to the US and British inland military base of Diego Garcia. Make of that what you will. But you cannot discount this in connection to reports that one of the MH370 pilots has Diego Garcia plotted on his own home flight simulator. Confusion was stirred up even more after retired United States Air Force Lieutenant General Thomas G. McInerney turned up on a Fox News program hosted by Mike Huckabee, proceeding to infer that the U.S. has known all along where the plane had travelled and that the missing Boeing 777 was already in Central Asia. Although McInerney went on to reinforce the White House myth that Osama bin Laden was killed in 2011 at his compound in Pakistan. You can't help but wonder why he was sent on to Fox at the very time that this latest, quote, discovery has happened. Bill Stills concluded his commentary by warning that this plane may likely end up being used by some US-sponsored false flag or terrorist act in the future. Mainstream media is now being flooded with reports of grieving families, which the public have only now been given access to. And Western media talking points are focused on victims' families, blaming the Malaysian government for its incompetence in conducting the search, and that somehow blood is now on the Malaysian government's hands. 21st Century Wire detailed some suspicions regarding the passenger list and talk of key Freescale, Austin, Texas-based employers being on the plane, as well as the technical parameters regarding the plane's transponder systems and radar detection. In the end, for the government anyway, the whole story has relied exclusively on technical and computer satellite specs in order to illustrate a timeline and possible locations for the missing flight. The blame game that has ensued following Malaysia's endorsement of the British location data, which is still a guess, and Malaysia is now accusing Inmarsat of, quote, sitting on the information for 10 days, which means that a convenient media sideshow has now opened up to distract from the actual finding the plane. The Telegraph said it today, quote, the AAIB, working with Inmarsat, provided the only credible information on the Malaysian Airlines flight's whereabouts, but a series of delays meant 10 crucial days were lost before search teams began looking in the South Indian Ocean, where it now seems certain the aircraft went down. Regardless of what is being said and what theories are being kicked around, one can conclude once again that the official story of Malaysian flight MH370 is a complete whitewash already. Isn't it funny how the biggest plane hunt in human history over in Asia is swiftly closed down by a single British company and a British government aviation agency? So Inmarsat is a major player in government, military, aviation, satellite markets, partners with the likes of Honeywell, and refers to itself as, quote, the world's leading provider of mobile satcoms, with its iSat phone range, and it covers a wide range of global contracts, most notably its satellite communications for coalition military forces deployed on missions in Iraq, Afghanistan and other locations, and it's also been awarded a FEMA contract to continue providing mobile satellite services in the US. So, Inmarsat is a big international player, and the stuff that they do for the military is incredible. The communications that they deal with and that they handle is enormous. Quick look down the headlines on sovereignindependentuk.co.uk. The false flag attempt hidden by the media. That's the plane again. A Boeing 777 coincidence. There's an exercise is currently taking place in the USA. And Reality Bites Radio. Unfortunately, the guests, Phil McDonald and David Hawkins, weren't able to make it, but had a great guest on instead. Fire at Will, geoengineering class action lawsuit, and evil gloating New World Order cop shoots family dog. Next, your kids? ? There's loads going on. So much going on in this world. It's amazing. I am genuinely amazed every time I look at the news at some of the depravity that the people are doing. You know, the evil that men do. Okay, quick look at Infowars.com. Media buries bombshell admission of Turkish government planning a false flag attack. And Senator Reid, I never called Obamacare horror stories lies. 1 month after calling Americans liars, Senate's top Democrat now claims he never said anything of the sort. I'm sure there's lots of YouTube videos and etc. which will show that, yes, he did actually say that. Like, I will close Guantanamo down. It's going to be the first thing I do. And here we are, all these years on, and it's still open. Yes, we can. No, you can't, Barry. Yeah, that's right. Barry Saturo, or whatever he's calling himself this week. Justices, companies can pay penalty if they object to Obamacare birth control. Good Lord. Anti-NSA reps are being intentionally cut out of debate on the surveillance bill. And world leaders wear bizarre Illuminati pyramid at nuclear summit. Let's have a quick look at that, see what they've got to say for themselves. This is Paul Joseph Watson. Is it an innocent motif or an occult display of power? World leaders this week's nuclear security summit wore bizarre Illuminati pyramid lapel pins whilst gathered around a giant eye with a floating holographic pyramid suspended above it. What? They're supposed to be talking about nuclear disarmament and nuclear weapons and nuclear security, not farting about with holograms of pyramids and standing around with... Ugh. Interestingly enough, President Barack Obama, Barry Soetoro, was one of the few world leaders not to wear the pyramid symbol. Well, he's a Muslim, so he's not going to be allowed to, is he? Is the symbol an innocent motif designed to express unity around the issue of nuclear security, or does it represent an occult display of power? Make your own mind up. Go and look at that story yourself on Infowars.com and make up your own mind. In the meantime, though, stay tuned to Awake Radio, Shaziz and Shake and Wake and 1800 Online, where you'll find more great information, news and views, and the ability for you to make up your own mind. Stay tuned. I will be back, fingers crossed, God willing, news willing, next Monday, to whichever deity you give your faith. May they bring you peace.